Hello everyone, this is Yuri the Blender Magus, and welcome back to the character creation of Anubis. So, where we left off last time, we joined the head to the rest of the body. So now what we're going to do in this part is we're going to start adding some of the more intricate details to the sculpt. One thing that I want to do actually is I actually want to shrink this snout region, and that's easier to do in edit mode. So let's go back to our layout view, and you'll notice something about the head here is that if yours isn't like this, don't worry about it, but if yours is, you'll see that there's actually some geometry underneath there. So what we need to do is we need to go in the wireframe mode, and okay, so we can see that there is a part of the mesh that is poking through the other part. So see if you can select it. So you can see it's a different object. So if you can. So select this main part and then hit Control I. It's not working. All right, I'm gonna pause the recording and I'll get back to you when I figure this out. Okay, so I figured it out. So it's not, so we did the right thing. We actually have the, we joined the mesh properly. There's just the duplicate object of the first sculpted head here. So you can just delete that and get rid of it. And now you'll see that we don't have anything peeking through the mesh anymore. So I'm glad that was a relatively simple fix. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go back into edit mode. And oh yeah, so we also have a duplicate object of the hands, so we'll just get rid of that as well. All right, so I'm gonna Alt H to unhide our mesh here, and to shrink the snout, we're gonna go to the side view and make sure you hit 5 on your number pad to go into orthographic view. And what you want to do is you want to deselect everything and hit Z, go to the wireframe view, hit C, and then you'll get the selection tool. And you just want to select this part of the snout up till about here. Okay. Now, what we can do is we can, so let's turn off proportional editing, and we'll just bring this part of the snout out for a second and rotate it this way so that it's horizontal with the rest of the grid, and then hit S and then Y and scale it down a little bit. Okay, and then rotate it back to its proper angle, and then we can just bring that back like so. Maybe rotate it down a little bit more. Bring it forward. Rotate it down. Bring it down. Okay. And then we can go back to solid view. And so, well, we can see that we have a bit of a more reasonably sized snout. I think. So now when we go back into sculpt mode, we can fix some of these issues up. So again, I'm going to begin to talk you through my process of sculpting the main details, or not the main details, but you know, the little details of the character as far as veins and things like that. And then we'll get to we're gonna put some paws on his bottom feet here. But before we do that, I see that there are some holes in the bottom of our mesh. We don't want that, so we're going to select that ring of vertices with Alt and right click, and then hit Control F for grid fill. And there we go. So go to the other side and do the same thing. Okay. So now let's get started. So go back to your sculpting view, and we have our basic proportions pretty much laid out. So we can, just minimize this view a little bit. We don't want to close it all the way just because we still want to make sure that we're following the basic design of this, but we want more space in our sculpting view so we can better focus on the little details. So the first thing that I'm going to do is fix some anatomical problems here. So I noticed that I made mention earlier that the back muscles come up and actually are a little in front, or I guess you could say behind your triceps. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to keep dynamic topology off for a minute because we have a decent amount of vertices for now, and we're making some more, not really big changes, but more structural adjustments to the figure. So just come in here, flatten that out. Okay. Okay, and then we just want to bring some of that up. Okay, we can smooth this out. Alright. I'll come in here, crease this up a little bit more. Alright, so we got that done, but we need to make a little bit more of a precise change, so just re-enable dynamic topology. And see, it's on 5. That's good because we're doing the little details now, so 5 is good for what we're doing. So I'll come in here and we're going to start forming the individual fibers of the muscle. We can decrease our brush size for this part of the process, and I like to use clay strips for this part. You can use clay or any other brush that works for you, but I like clay strips. I think it's a good equivalent to ZBrush's clay buildup brush, and is really good for laying out musculature and things like that. So when making the muscle detail, you might notice that some parts of the mesh get a little ridgy, like they have really big indents in them. You can fix that by finding the fill brush, which is here. So if you select the fill brush, increase its size, you just go over, you'll see you'll start to fill in those deep areas, and that's real good for creating the idea of there being, skin over the muscles. It just helps makes that, not so harsh. Okay, so, and then we can, go back over this with a smooth brush. things like that. So we'll just continue on. I'm actually going to use the regular clay brush for a second here. Just want to get some of that up here. And we'll get the Draw Sharp, which is, I believe this is a new brush that they've added in 2.7 or 2.81. I really like it. I like it. It's not as restrictive as clay strips. And I don't know, I like it better. I like the way it feels better, at least for making organic shapes. I'm actually going to get the flatten brush here and actually flatten some of this out. So the way you want to do your muscles depends on, again, if you're trying to be hyper realistic or slightly stylized. I'm going over it with the flattened brush because I'm doing what I like to call mattifying my sculpt. What do I mean by that? Well, my favorite comic book artist is Joe Madureira, and I watched a video on how he draws. And basically, the concept of his workflow is that everything that would, any line or segment that would normally end with a curve, he ends it with a point. And that just gives his art a very distinct look, and I really like it. I've been a fan of his art since I was a kid, so I like to do things like that in my own work. I don't do it to such an extreme degree, or at least maybe not the exact same way he does it, because I have my own artistic integrity or I guess just method of drawing, but I do like to implement that sometimes when I can. In fact, just a remark on that, you'll notice in the picture, if you look up some of Joe Mad's art, you'll notice some, just some similarities about how I drew the arms and things like that. So anyway, finished with that tangent. Gonna grab the grab brush, like Dave Ward used to say, and we're going to just move some of these parts in so it's not so lumpy. And we're gonna zoom out of here, and actually I'm gonna increase the brush size. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit more so we can bring this form in. Now, for some reason, I can't seem to really get the contour of the thing with the grab tool, but I think I can with it's not the elastic deform, it's the snake hook. The snake hook actually acts as a better grab tool than the freaking grab tool, in my opinion. Because what I wanted to do with the grab tool, I was having a hard time with, but now that I got the snake hook, I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. So if you want to do anything like changing the positions of your major forms, just get the snake hook tool. The grab tool, I guess, kind of sucks right now. maybe they'll fix that in another update. Hopefully they would do, because that's kind of atrocious, actually. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I remember that grab tool working a lot better than it is right now. So we're going to start adding some more detail to the neck region, and we straightened up, the head and things like that, so that it seemed more natural. It looked real lumpy, and I did not particularly care for the way it looked. It looked wrong. Looked like he had some sort of deformity going there. I mean, well, he is a humanoid dog creature, so you can argue for deformities all around, but he looked extra deformed. I think they go back there like this. So, try to see what I'm doing here. I'm layering these strokes on top of one another. Try to do that for mapping out the muscles. Alright. So I'll speak to you guys once I'm done cleaning up the muscle structure. I try to keep the time lapses at about 500% so you can still follow along. So if you have any questions about my method of sculpting, please let me know. But you see how I'm going through, and I'm basically just fixing up and then stylizing some of the muscle groups and forms like that too.
What we do here is go back. we do here is go back.
So guys, we're not quite finished with the main details yet, but one thing that I do want to do, because my computer is starting to slow down a little bit because of how many vertices there are. So one thing that we can do is we can go to our remesh options here, and in order to remesh properly, you want to deactivate dynamic topology. So once we go into our remesh options, we want to change it to a very low number, so we're going to go to 0.01. And once we do that, we're going to click remesh, and it'll take a second. And there you see now that we've dramatically reduced the number of vertices that we have. So we're going to, I just wanted to tell you about that option there. We're going to continue sculpting, but one thing that I do see is that it's changed our view from smooth shading to solid. So we're just gonna, once we reactivate dynamic topology, the smooth shading should come back on, and it did. Okay, so that is all I wanted to share with you guys. So you can keep sculpting. If you want to remesh a couple more times, like honestly, I feel like we should remesh one more time. So I'm going to change this from 0.01 to 0.03, and then we're going to remesh that. There we go. But if you do that, keep in mind some of the details, like the tongue here, might get lost in the remesh. So you have to find a good medium area. So let's try 0.02 and remesh that. Oh, whoops. We gotta undo it again. Okay, so now let's try 0.02 and remesh that. Oh, whoops. Didn't mean to do it twice. We can now, so we can see that it remeshed properly. We'll fix this this part of the mouth here when we get back to the face, but it still kept our main details, and that's what we really care about. And we didn't get too far into the little bits. In fact, we're almost finished, so we're just going to finish up the legs here, and we're gonna install the paws, and then that'll be it for the main detail. So I'll see you guys back when that part's finished. Alright everyone, so if you've noticed that I've run into a problem here, when I remeshed my model, the fingers accidentally got joined together. So one possible way that we can fix this is again with a Boolean modifier. So we're going to go back to our layout tab, and it might take a minute because we have significantly more vertices in our scene than we did last time. What we're going to do is, with our cursor in the center, if it's not in the center, hit Shift S, cursor to world origin, and let me turn on. Okay, they are on. My screencast keys aren't on. Then why are they not showing? Okay, well, anyway. What I want to do is hit Shift A, go to the cube. We're going to scale this down, scale that on the Y, and I'll just scale it on the X a little more. Now we're going to bring this cube over here, bring it towards the hand, hit period. Rotate it on the Z axis 90 degrees. Hit 7 just to be more exact. We're going to rotate this, actually, hit 1, we're going to rotate this on the X-axis, hold control, or maybe Y-axis, hold control, segment that. Okay. Then hit G and Y, bring it here, scale it down a little bit. Okay. So what I'm doing here in principle is I'm taking a primitive mesh here, and I'm going to use it to intersect through this part of the hand so that I can fix that issue that we have here. With this, I'm going to duplicate this. So just gonna hit Shift D, rotate that over there, bring it like so, and then we're gonna Shift D again, rotate that over here, and then with this selected, we're going to add another Boolean modifier, and we're gonna join these. Join these three objects. Control J, and then we're going to get our eyedropper tool here, click that object, and so it's on difference. You want to go to wireframe to make sure that it's actually subtracting, and it is. That's what we want. But you see that it's not doing it evenly. We want this part of the cube here to be about as even as the other parts. So let's go into edit mode here and select this cube with L, and we're just going to move that forward a little bit. Okay, and now we tab back into object mode. So our Boolean worked, and so we're just going to apply that. Okay, and then we get rid of that, and there we go. We have fixed our hand problem. I just wanted to show you guys how you could fix that in case you ran into a similar issue. Actually, I'm going to have to come back and finish recording this. I have to eat, and so I might do this as a separate part, or I might come back and just finish it as a whole. But we're still not quite finished with the regular detail, that you know, the more intricate details. That part tends to take a little longer. So if I decide this to be the end of the tutorial, then thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more YouTube tutorials, and I will see you in the next one. If this isn't, then I'll just see you back when I am finished eating.